My first guest this evening, I'm delighted to welcome to Community Matters, is Rosemary Gallagher, who is Programme Manager with PorterShed. Am I saying that right? PorterShed or PorterShed? Rosemary.
That's it, Ronan. How are you doing? It's PorterShed, like a shed that you put porter in.
Excellent. Rosemary, you're going to tell us a little bit about this new National Startup Accelerator Programme for entrepreneurs. But first of all, tell us a little bit about PorterShed and what you do.
Very happily. Thanks very much for making time with me, Ronan. I'm delighted to be here and tell you a little bit about what we're up to. And as you've just described at the top of this show, I mean, innovation in Connemara is thriving. You have this fantastic lineup of successful business and research and innovation in your community. So it's really cool that we can hopefully do our bit to support that as well. The PorterShed is a innovation space in the heart of Galway City. It was formed as a space for startups, so early stage technology businesses to start and grow and scale. And as you know, in the west of Ireland, we have this fantastic reputation for foreign direct investment, and we've had tremendous successes in that over the last 50 or so years. But one of the challenges with these startup companies is that you need a lot of talent, and you need young talent, and young people want to be in cities. So we created the PorterShed as a co-working hub in the heart of Galway City to service that community, to ensure that those talented people could start their indigenous businesses in the place that could help support them. And we're a not-for-profit organisation supported by a really impressive voluntary board. Folks like Maurice O'Gorman and Dave Cunningham and John Breslin and NUI Galway, among others. And we do everything that we do is with the support of that tremendous board and our own team working tirelessly for the community.
Fantastic. And am I correct in saying you're located just behind the railway station there, is it? In the car? No?
Yes,
am I getting
we are indeed. Yeah. The PorterShed, before it was renovated and turned into a co-working space, was actually the storehouse for Guinness when it came off the train, and it was put in there temporarily. You can see the red brick walls of this original building.
Fantastic. Sounds great. And tell us a little bit then about a typical startup company that might be located in your premises.
Sure. Well, first of all, I would say there are almost no typical startup companies. So much of what they're doing is about innovation and invention. And because they're constantly on this journey of discovery to try to create something new, for every single one of them, it's a unique journey. But of course, we have commonalities. It's part of human nature. So for us, our focus is on technology, by which we primarily mean digital technology. So that's technology with lines of code, some computer language at the heart of the innovation. And of course that often encompasses other things, elements of hardware, but usually it comes back to that technology cornerstone. I mean, what's a typical business? These startups often begin with just one person with an idea, and maybe you or one of your listeners or somebody connected to one of your listeners has this nugget of idea that's been noodling away at the back of their minds for a while. And starting up is all about discovering how to make that work. What it is that you need to type into the computer that gives you the output that you're looking for. It often really begins with a problem that people experience in the world that they think technology can solve. And starting up is all about discovering that solution and finding a market for it and finding somebody to buy it. So when the person with the nugget of idea comes in, they'll typically work with a developer, and they'll gradually build up their business from a minimal product, the very simplest thing that you can release into the world to confirm your suspicion that this is a really good idea. And from there, they start to grow their teams, And some of the greatest success stories that the PorterShed has seen are startups that began with just a few people and grew and grew and grew so big that they couldn't even stay in the PorterShed anymore, and they had to graduate outwards.
So they're nurtured and supported by your team in the PorterShed, and to see if the business can grow and scale, I suppose, into the future.
Exactly, and creating lots of jobs for Galway and for our graduates and the people in the community. Very
positive. And of course, you're one of a number of networks, one of a number of innovation hubs around the country.
Indeed. So, well, first of all, we are a member of the Irish Tech Hub Network. We're one of the regional delivery partners for the NDRC, which I'll tell you about in a little while. We're also involved in the Atlantic Economic Corridor and the Connected Hubs. There was a recent Connected Hubs launch, and we're just honoured to be part of that absolutely thriving ecosystem of people that are working to support startups all across Ireland. But definitely this isn't done in silo. There's an awful lot of startup supports out there, from the likes of New Frontiers, Enterprise Ireland. The local enterprise offices do absolutely tremendous work. And the GTECs in the Gaeltacht regions. So we don't, we view ourselves as, those are my colleagues. Those are the people I talk to all the time. How are you solving this problem? What else can we do to help? How do we make this easier for people? And one of the ways that we're trying to make this easier for people is through the NDRC. That's the National Digital Accelerator. And we are delivering on our promise to support startups in every region in Ireland through the NDRC with our upcoming Pre-accelerator, which we in the PorterShed are going to be co-hosting along with the RDI Hub in Kerry, which means that we are really looking for teams all along the west coast of Ireland, from Kerry to Donegal.
Fantastic. So, Rosemary, tell us a little bit more about this, because this is something which may be of interest to our listeners or people, entrepreneurs out there in Connemara who might be interested in participating. So this is, as you said, it's a national startup accelerator program. You're partnering with a hub in Kerry to kind of run this. Tell us a little bit about the detail.
Sure, I'll do it. The application is very simple, very straightforward. You go on, you explain a bit about yourself and a bit about your idea. The deadline for that is actually coming up. It's on the 5th of July. And if you need any support or guidance in that application, you can always reach out to me. My name is Rosemary Gallagher. You can find me on LinkedIn, and my email address is rosemary@GCID.ie. So once you apply, it goes through, we select the top teams, making sure that there's a balance and representation from the regions of Ireland. And then the program will kick off on the 23rd of August. It runs for 6 weeks, and in each one of those weeks, you'll focus on a different element that will drive your business forward. And the one thread that runs absolutely constantly throughout is constantly checking with your customer that you're on the right track, because your customer is the thing that's going to make you succeed or fail. So we bring you on a process that helps you understand what your customer needs, constantly validate that need as you come up with a solution, and hopefully emerge with something very compelling that solves their problem. So there's 6 modules. As mentioned, a lot of focus on customer. We'll spend some time teaching the startups how to pitch. That's how to sell their idea, either to investors, to customers. We'll look at product development, things like how you get this piece of technology out of the box, how you turn it into a real thing that humans interact with, how you teach people to even use the product, the application. Then we go into the numbers. We help them understand the kind of more accounting sides of things, the metrics that matter, and that element of things. And then, finally, we would do a big focus on pathways to funding, because the whole point of a pre-accelerator program is to get you ready either for investment or to participate in an accelerator. And the NDRC does have an accelerator program that offers €100,000 in support to startups.
Sounds really impressive, Rosemary, in terms of those supports that are available. Can I ask, at what stage of development, if let's say we have a listener who's thinking about this, they might have maybe just an idea. Literally just an idea that they want to develop, have done very little more, or you might have someone else who's actually been thinking about this for some time. They might have a business plan in place. Like, can you, what stage of development do you need to be at in order to apply to meet the criteria for this program?
Oh, that's a fantastic question, Ronan. So I would say, if you had an idea, call me this Friday. For the NDRC program, there is a support for every development stage. And I love nothing more than speaking to people when they're at that very, 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 very early idea stage, because then we have an opportunity to set you on the right track. Exploring your problem and understanding your idea really well before you do too much legwork, it's really critical. And it's a really, really fun stage. It's actually my own personal area of expertise and passion. So every single Friday, from now until the end of time, I participate in 2 hours of office hours, and they can apply for that on ndrc.ie. And at office hours, I've had people come to me that said, I had an idea in the car, and I've had people come to me and say, I'm getting to the stage where I think I might need to pack in the day job.
Yeah.
What's your advice? And then much later stage, look, we've had some successful fundraising. We really need to catapult this forward. Where do we go from here? So no matter where you are along your journey, give us a call. We'll be able to help you out. And if you're not in the right sector, if you're not technology, or if you need some other supports, we'll connect you into the other elements of the community, like the local enterprise offices, New Frontiers and Enterprise Ireland, like I mentioned.
That's fantastic.
Specifically for the pre-accelerator, this program that's, the deadline on the 5th of July, I would say you need to have, maybe you've started to work on an MVP, a minimal viable product. Perhaps you've had some positive feedback, some confirmation that you're on the right track, maybe early stage conversations with an investor. Perhaps you have some customers that are either using your product or even using your product for free. So that's quite an early stage, but at the point where you've got a little bit of wind under your sails.
Fantastic. No, that's very clear, Rosemary. And look, it sounds like an excellent program. And if any of our listeners wants to find out more information, how can they go about doing so?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, the website for all of these programs is ndrc.ie. As mentioned, my own name is Rosemary Gallagher, and you can reach me on rosemary@gcid.ie. And in particular, next week we will have a lunch and learn session, where like a Zoom webinar, where anybody that is thinking about putting in an application can come along, hear about it, learn more. We'll talk you through the program, and we'll talk you through how to put in a winning application. So just reach out to me and we'll put you on the right track.
That's fantastic, Rosemary. Listen, many thanks for your time this evening. Rosemary's email address, rosemary@gcid.ie. You can also visit www.ndrc.ie to hear a little bit more, find out a little bit more about the early stage supports and accelerator program. It's very exciting work and innovative work that you're involved in there at the PorterShed, and we wish you the very best with it.
Thank you so much for your time, Ronan, and have a lovely evening.
Thanks, Rosemary.